Today we have a PS5 that survived a mudslide caused by Hurricane Helene. It was shared with us here at Team TronicsFix by Andrew, who said it was given to him by a friend who was originally affected by the disaster. Well, we tested it, and it powers on, but maybe needs a new HDMI port. Whoa! Okay. And who knows what else. We're far enough in here now that we can take at least a first look. This board amazingly does not look like it has any evidence of moisture on it, at least this side of the board. Let's keep going. Here's our first look at the other side of the board. We'll have to take a closer look under the microscope, but I'm also really not seeing any water damage that I'm worried about. So far right now with what we can visibly see, it's this heatsink. This is the biggest place where we have any evidence of water damage, and everything else in here, while definitely dirty and going to benefit from the clean, it looks pretty good. And I am optimistic that with just that little bit of cleaning touch, checking things out a little bit closer under the microscope, we're gonna be good to go with getting this thing running. We already removed the screws on the underside here, and so should be able to take this power supply right out of here. We can open this if we want to and be really careful with it, because I have very recently put electricity into this thing, obviously by testing it. So we want to be really careful, obviously, if we get into the power supply to avoid any shocking experiences. Pretty much everything else of importance is connected with this strip right here. Sometimes I would completely take every piece off of here, but just taking this look at it right now, I'm pretty sure that I'll be able to clean around this and don't think that I need to bother with disassembling all of these little boards on here. And that's it. It's time to get cleaning. For having allegedly survived a mudslide, this PS5 is looking pretty good, which is great, I'm not complaining, but I normally expect to battle rusted metal plates and corroded motherboards and stained plastic and a console that's been flooded, which is sad in a way. What am I going to do with this extra time I originally allocated to extreme deep cleaning? I have an idea.
Okay.
And I want to run it by you.
Okay.
So
run. I think it's a great idea. I think you should run with it.
Okay. I like it. I'm excited about this one. There's definitely a degree to which I'm cleaning this in here, but it's not the final clean that we're going to do. This is just getting mostly the dirt on the surface off, but we're gonna have some stains and things like this that are gonna require a little bit of treatment after we get out of the soapy water. So no worries if you're anxious that I pull this out of here before it looks perfectly clean. All the rest of the pieces that I just washed in that soapy bath, I'm just letting air dry. But I'm gonna add a little bit of air just to make sure, because we have a metal piece on here. Probably would be okay if I just let it air dry, but just to make sure I don't cause any rust. Okay, just want to make sure everything is perfectly dry here. So basically, because I'm lazy and I don't want to take these extra boards off because I don't really see any reason to clean behind them, I'm just going to clean everything here with some cleaning wipes. I have a big case of them here. These are for automobiles, but I think they work pretty good. No sponsorship. Before you make fun of me, as so many people have done, I just want to point out that these little stickers came from the manufacturer of these bottles. It's on them. I know this technically says isopropyl alcohol. These bottles are super cool though. Has anyone else purchased one of these because they've seen it on my channel or on Steve's at TronicsFix? They're really handy. Actually have some dust on this one. Obviously the cover for the fan here is going to attract dust. As far as the surface of this plate goes, I don't really think I need to do much of anything to it. Maybe just wiping a little bit of the dust off with a microfiber cloth here. A little bit of something there. There's a little bit, like kind of a little dust spidery looking cobweb thing. With an older console, I might typically replace this battery, but since this is a PS5, I know that it's not that old, and these batteries actually can go quite a long time, so why waste a battery? Forgot that I accidentally broke the pin on the air compressor, so I'm going to use this air. That's a much better start. Now I can go use the IPA and finish the job. I think an argument could be made for good enough at that point, but I am going to go ahead and wipe these blades and just get that film dust kind of off of there. Okay, that's a lot better. These disk drives tend to stay pretty good in most circumstances, but we're definitely going to open it up and see what it looks like on the inside. First, I'm just going to brush away the entry port here. Let's take a closer look here. See, it doesn't look bad on the outside, but we definitely have to open it up and find out what it looks like inside. I'm guessing this is Lego Dimensions. I think that's what I can see through there. Hey, I was right. Cool. All right, everything looks clean, so unless we have an issue, I'm gonna put this back together when we reassemble everything, and otherwise I'm going to set it aside right now, and we have a couple more things to clean. All right, this is the part that's definitely going to require the most cleaning effort, and I think I'm gonna run back outside and give this some air. Okay, so we got most of the dust gone, but I'm going to try to now clean most of this corrosion up with a bit of a stiff bristle brush here, a little bit of IPA on there, and we'll just see what we do. I always thought this was one solid piece here, but now I'm realizing these are each individual little pins that can be bent, like I have bent these ones here on the end. Interesting. Okay, what do you think? Is that good enough? I mean, there's still a little bit of stain that you can see on there, but I think that's good enough for me to use. So we're gonna set this aside and we'll freshen up this liquid metal before we put everything back together. Okay, we got these good and clean and the soapy water, but we still have a few stains, sticky spots on here. Let's try to get those taken care of. Like, at first I thought it was a sticker, but it might be some kind of a stain or an actual warping of the plastic itself. I'm gonna risk bringing a little bit of magic eraser onto this carefully and see if it's something that actually can come up. And if I end up damaging the coating here or the surface with the magic eraser, I will replace these plates for Andrew. So let's go ahead and try this though. Okay, I think that is coming up slightly, so let's just carefully keep at it. I'm using very light pressure here. Magic eraser is something that can cause damage, particularly on glossy surfaces. This is more of a matte surface. You still can kind of wear away at the coating a little bit, and if you get too aggressive, it doesn't look good in the right lighting, it'll kind of have a little shiny spot. But it's a tool that used rightly, used correctly, can be of great help. And I think this is one of those good cases where it's helping me more than it's hurting me. Okay. See, that's what I mean by that very slightly shiny spot that can kind of show up if you really rub on something a lot, but you really have to look to notice that in any lighting on this particular shell. I think that looks pretty good. If we look closely, there is a little bit of staining that didn't come up in the wash, particularly up on this edge where we had that really dark splotch. So I'm gonna use the wet wipe again up here, and we're just gonna kind of keep going over it and try to clean up this stain. Okay, that's what, 20 seconds or so of scrubbing and noticing that that stain is lifting off. This particular one here is more than surface deep. It's kind of actually scarred it a little bit into the plastic itself. Here's one you can actually see really well. See, these are actually scars in the plastic itself. Not gonna be able to clean those away. So let's polish this up and move on. The last thing I have to take care of here with the cleaning process is this power supply. I was thinking that I would take it apart, but I'm not going to do that if it doesn't need it. So what I want to do here instead is just kind of look. This thing is fine. That's the color the board should be. That's not like dirt or anything. Take a peek in some of these other areas. And I'm not seeing any evidence of moisture, any reason to suspect that this would be worth taking apart. And not only that, I've already powered this on, so I know this power supply is working. Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to show you that we're testing out some different types of cleaning wipes right now. Making some notes on what we think. Why are we doing this? Because here at TronicsFix, we're considering making our own. But I had a really good opportunity here to test those on the thing that I asked Steve about earlier. I'm looking at it right now. So I think we're done with the clean. We just need to get this thing put back together and test it out. You may have noticed that I didn't check the HDMI port or really anything that could have been wrong in the system besides taking a close look at it and obviously cleaning it. We're going to see if and how it works now, and then if we need to, we'll see what else we have to do. Here we go. PlayStation logo. Looks like it's booting up. I didn't lose power, but that HDMI is kind of sensitive. So let's go bug Steve one more time.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve.
Yo.
You're not filming or anything, right?
No, I'm watching TikTok videos. Oh, hey, what's up?
Hey, I'm working on this PS5 for
Yeah.
Andrew, and a couple of things. First of all, the HDMI port here, when I tested it, this was really kind of like cutting in and out if I wiggled the cable back and forth. And then I looked at it now, it looks kind of bent. And then I've got like some weird looking liquid metal there. I'm wondering if you could show me how to take care of that. So if you have a minute, do you mind doing an HDMI swap for me?
Yeah, let's do it.
All
I
right,
can see it's already bent up, so that needs to be replaced for sure.
All right,
Let's
you
do
want
it.
to move upstairs so you have some space to work?
I'm going to do a little bit of pre-work here. I'm going to tin these pins and stuff, and also to make sure these soldering irons work since I haven't used them in forever. So first thing I'm going to do is use some hot air to remove this, some really hot air. And then after that's done, we'll put this port up in there, and that should be all it takes. So I'm heating these posts up right here. These are the mounting posts, but I also need to heat in the middle because that's where the 19 small pins connect to the board. If I don't get enough heat there, then when this drops out, it can pull some of those pads up, and that makes this a much more difficult repair. So we're going to go ahead and not do that. And just wiggle it a little bit more. Hopefully get it.
Reminds me of trying to get a tooth out.
Yeah, I'm pretty much a dentist.
Hey, I've said that. I've basically said I'm pretty much a dental hygienist when I'm scraping,
Yeah, that's totally true.
scraping plaque off of things. So,
Yeah. So there we go. No pads are broken off of the board. So if that's the case, I'm just going to now heat this back up.
Are you going to reuse that same one then?
Port? No, this is a different one.
Oh, okay.
The other one's right there. I prepped this earlier by tinning the pads. I just put some solder on them. That's going to make it so it's going to stick really easily to the pads on the board. Now I just have to heat up the solder again, push this up through the mounting holes. Now just let the solder solidify. It's not down quite all the way, so I'm going to put some pressure on it and then heat it again. So I'm squeezing together with my tweezers while I heat. Okay, so we should have it soldered on all the way. We did it pretty much perfect on the first try, as you would expect.
Of course, yeah.
So the heatsink and the APU, you can see how the liquid metal is oxidized. There's kind of like a dull spot right here, actually all through here, and then the liquid metal is actually shiny. So that indicates that this is all oxidized. So what we need to do is get all that off. So I'm just gonna come in with a cotton swab and remove that.
Now in the past, you've given me a black cotton swab that doesn't have fibers in it. That it's okay to use this white disposable one here.
I'm using this just because I don't like using a bunch of the black ones because I don't have that many of them. And so that's the main reason. I'm also, like, as I go, I'm twisting this to hopefully get as few fibers as possible on this thing. Now you can see how shiny the APU is. That indicates that we've gotten most of that oxidation off.
But haven't you also removed the liquid metal?
Yes. So the Q-tip shows just how much of the oxidation has come off. So what we do now is we get this liquid metal from the sides. I'm using a syringe. This comes with most of the liquid metal that you buy. I get the Thermal Grizzly. I get the Thermal Grizzly liquid metal, and it comes with these syringes. So I'm just going to go through and suck it off the edges and put it back on the chip, and then we'll spread it around.
This is just freaky to me.
Why?
I don't know. It's just metal shouldn't be liquid.
It is strange. Okay, now I'll use this black one, and I'll just come through and spread the liquid metal around onto the chip. It takes a little bit of scrubbing to get it all spread around. But you can just see how easily that liquid metal is flowing around. That indicates that it's nice and clean. When it looks like this, that's actually a really common cause of overheating on PlayStation 5s. If you have one that's overheating that's not plugged up with dust and dirt and stuff, then this is probably your problem. Okay, and that is looking pretty good too. Okay, and I'll do the same thing. There's a bunch on the edge over here, so I want to get as much as I can off the edge and back up onto the heatsink part. That's it. Put it back together and see if it works.
Here we go. Here we are, everything is turning on again, and the HDMI port passes the wiggle test. Now normally there's one more thing that I would have to do, which is initialize the console and reset it back to factory settings. But since we're sending this console back to Andrew, I think I'm gonna leave it as it is. But wait a minute, this console didn't originally belong to Andrew. This isn't his save data. This belonged to Andrew's friend who gave it to Andrew because he lost it and probably just gave up on it. So I think it's time to reveal the project I've been working on that I asked Steve about and that I used all those cleaning wipes on. Andrew, we're about to mail this PS5 back to you, and I want you to promise me that you're gonna give it back to your friend who it used to belong to. And since I trust that you're a good dude and you're gonna do that, I'm also gonna send you this PS5 that I cleaned. It was probably in another video that Steve did at some point. I found it on a shelf and it had a sticker on it that said it needed to be fully cleaned and fully tested. I did both. And outside of a little shiny scuff mark on here, it works perfectly. It's the same exact model number and it's been factory reset for you to begin fresh with. So again, thanks for sending this to us. Please pass this one back along to your friend, and we're sending another one for you. If you enjoyed this video, you're going to want to check out this other video that I did where I deep cleaned a Sega Genesis and CD drive that had also been through a hurricane. We'll leave a link right down in the corner for you. And if you think you might have a uniquely gross item that would make for a good Restore-ish video, I'll leave a link in the description where you can start a dialogue with us. Thanks for hanging out with me, and we'll see you next time.